no question that Donald Trump stole the spotlight before the Fox News-Google debate here in Iowa, monopolizing the media coverage as the pundits argued about the last-minute boycott and the potential audience for a Trumpless debate.
What Donald did is make this line in the sand, which was preposterous for him to do over Megyn Kelly. What was Megyn Kelly going to do? Go up there and, whack him around? I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, look, he's gotten what he wanted to get, which is blanket wall-to-wall coverage of him, wiping out everything else going up to the debate. That, I think, was well played.
Who's going to watch a debate between the two Cuban guys? Who's going to watch a debate between Marco Rubio, and Ted Cruz? Who cares?
When Cruz, Rubio, Carson, Bush, Christie, Paul, and Kasich took the stage here in Des Moines, Trump was doing some counter-programming, a veterans fundraiser across town, while Megyn Kelly began the debate by talking about the elephant not in the room.
Fox has been extremely nice, and the last number of hours, actually. And they've wanted me there, and they said, how about now? When you're treated badly, you have to stick up for your rights.
Donald Trump has chosen not to attend this evening's presidential debate. What message do you think that sends to the voters of Iowa?
Trump had made a last-minute offer to show up if Fox donated millions to veterans charities. More on that later. Joining us now in Iowa to analyze this media warfare just one day before the caucuses, Mercedes Schlapp, a columnist and political strategist who worked for the Bush White House. Kirsten Powers, a columnist for the Daily Beast and a Fox News contributor who worked in the Clinton administration. And Heidi Presbula, senior political correspondent for USA Today. All right, so Trump pulling out of the debate after instigating this war of words against Fox was one more crazy twist in a crazy campaign. What was the impact on the media coverage this week?
Well, first of all, talk about taking out the natural order of politics and media. How could a frontrunner not show up to a debate? But he pulled it off. It was a win-win, I think, for both Fox and for Donald Trump. Donald Trump obviously got covered by CNN and MSNBC. They got about 2 million folks watching, and I think the MSNBC host, Chris Hayes, was I think he was so defeated having to share a split screen with Donald Trump. With that being said, it was probably a smart strategy for Donald Trump. He avoided the ugly confrontation with Megyn Kelly if he would have gone too far in a situation like that. And the smart tactic by Fox News of those video footages of these candidates, which kept these folks, these candidates off their game a little bit, that would have been interesting to see how Donald Trump would have reacted.
We'll come back to that. But Kirsten, so did Trump win or lose the media coverage for the week by blowing off the only debate in Iowa, the only chance for Iowans to see him in his home state, in their home state, on the eve of the caucuses? Some pundits said, wow, it was brilliant.
Yeah. Well, I think when he first announced it, most people had the feeling of, well, this probably isn't a great idea because it's his last chance to make his closing arguments to people who still haven't made a decision. I think by the time the debate had ended, most people started to feel that Trump was probably winning. And, you know, because he was able to, look, front runners don't like to do debates for the most part, because when you're ahead, there's no reason to go into a situation where people are going to be coming after you. And so in that sense, he didn't have to deal with that. He didn't have to have people coming after him, whether it was Megyn, which I don't think is quite fair. I don't really think she goes after him, but he seems to think that she does, or whether it was Ted Cruz, who had landed some punches on him in previous debates. And so, you know, I think the media sort of did come around to saying that this probably is going to work for Donald Trump.
So let me get over my shock here, Heidi. The initial media reaction was this was a terrible move by Donald Trump, and then as it plays out, it was a very good move by Donald Trump. Have we seen this movie before?
Well, let me share with you directly, because I was in the room, the media genius of Donald Trump and how he pulled it off. What has Donald Trump always said?
You were in the room at
I was in the room at the Trump event. Yes. What has Trump always said? If I bailed out on your debate, you would lose advertisers. You would lose millions of viewers. Well, that didn't happen. And yet, for us media members who were in the room, this is what he did. First of all, he gave an pre-interview to CNN. Then once he got in the room, he said, look, all of the cameras are here. They're all covering me. Ailes is still calling me on the phone. This is where the energy is, to the point where, as a reporter, I'm tweeting out and asking folks, is this still being covered live? I don't know. But he's pulling it off. He's pulling it off, everybody. And that is, you know, the kind of the snowball got rolling. And then the first part of the debate was on Trump. And so it was off to the races.
Which, to give Fox News credit, I mean, the mere fact they drew in 12.5 million viewers, it was a substantive debate. They were able to talk about issues as opposed to having so many of these personality conflicts.
But so again, I do want to come back to, you know, Trump has conducted this sort of on and off war of words against Megyn Kelly, and she has not hit back. She has not wanted to engage. She has tried to, you know, stick to her role as a journalist. But she has been flooded this week with online abuse of a nature that is very troubling. Which
Donald Trump has actually retweeted a couple of the comments of calling Megyn Kelly a bimbo, or one of the Trump supporters calling her a bimbo, which, again, attack her if you want on the style of her journalism, let's say, or about how her line of questioning. But, you know, here it is, Donald Trump. He's got a wife. He's got daughters. I don't think he would appreciate anyone calling his wife and his daughters a bimbo. I mean, it's insulting, and it's just, I think, unfortunate that Donald Trump has to go ahead and insult Megyn Kelly that way.
Now, obviously, he's not responsible for everything that his supporters say online, but, you know, I know women are the target of a lot of these things. There was a website called Vocative that looked at the thousands of comments posted about Megyn Kelly, leaving aside the pictures. The words most often used: bimbo 404 times, bitch 423 times, ugly, whore, skank. Nothing to do with her journalism or her training as a lawyer, any of that. It was all personal and appearance-based.
Right. Well, and this is, I mean, this is misogyny, just pure, straight-up misogyny. And I think any woman who's online has experienced it, right? Megyn has experienced it times a million. And this is what happens is when people don't like what you're saying, and look, and liberals do it too. People want to say it's just Trump supporters, or it's just, that's not true. I mean, I've had Keith Olbermann do it to me, you know, online. So it's not, you know, people want to immediately go to the fact that you're a bimbo, or you're stupid, or your other words that, you know, we don't want to say, the C word, and so forth. What Trump has done is that he calls her a lightweight, and so he's taking, you know, which is like another word for bimbo, and it's not accurate. You know what I mean? Like and then he's retweeting bimbo, so he's not actually saying the word, but he's letting people know that, like, this is what I want people to think about her. When, like, whatever you want to say about Megyn, and I don't, this isn't kind of work here because I work here. I think anybody who watches her, you know, argue about some substantive problems with her, but there's nobody who's actually has two eyes in their head and a brain who could possibly think that she's a lightweight.
He specifically said, Trump did, on Twitter, that he was not going to call her a bimbo because it wasn't politically correct, but then he used that word lightweight. Right. In terms of him skipping the debate, let's take this a little bit out of the realm of Fox. There are some people who believe that Trump didn't really want to do this debate. One of them voiced this view, MSNBC's Lawrence O'Donnell. Take a look.
Donald Trump is afraid of Megyn Kelly. He has spent months proving that, but he is more afraid of Hillary Clinton, and he's more afraid of Bernie Sanders, and that is why he pulled out of the Fox News debate.
So the idea is that he's afraid to debate. I mean, he's had 6 pretty successful debates, and then he's going to use that to duck any fall debates against the Democratic nominee if he wins.
You know, I don't think Donald Trump is afraid of anybody, but I do think he's a front runner, and there's an old truism when it comes to front runners, which is it doesn't benefit you to do a debate when you're in the lead. And Trump had effectively neutralized Cruz, who had come up on him and was even leading him in the polls. He knocked him back on his heels, and there was no strategic reason why he would want to be in a debate. That's why we're seeing right now Bernie Sanders fight with Hillary Clinton over doing a debate in New Hampshire. He doesn't want to do it.
Do you think he used the disagreements with Fox as a kind of a pretext?
He picked the fight with Fox, as I understand it, right? Like he picked a losing fight with Fox. He knew Fox isn't going to pull back their anchor. And then I have to say, I'm sorry, but when Fox issued that statement, it gave him the perfect cover to say, you all are mistreating me, this is about my dignity, and I'm not going to show.
Let's go a little broader here, Kirsten. A lot of commentators see this as a kind of a war for supremacy on the right between Trump and the people who loved him and his candidacy, and a guy who's taking on and trying to whip the Republican establishment, and Fox News, which is pretty influential on the right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what's interesting about it is now Fox, which has always been this sort of the outsider organization that's fighting against, you know, the rest of the media, which is very biased in favor of liberals, has now been cast as the establishment. I mean, it's as if Fox is NBC News or something. I mean, really being treated that way by Trump supporters. And so we've just moved into this kind of bizarro world that Trump has created, you know, where if you disagree with him, then somehow you are the establishment. You know, and it's like, and by the way, it's not even that anybody's disagreeing with him. They're just asking him questions. They're not, he's just being asked questions like any other candidate would be asked.
Well, Trump does get criticized frequently on Fox by some of the more prominent conservative commentators when he hits back. Krauthammer,
running for president.
Yeah. You know, Jonah Goldberg, Steve Hayes. And then there's National Review and Rich Lowry, which, you know, devoted a whole issue to trying to say that he's not really a conservative. But those aren't the only conservative voices, and some are more sympathetic to Donald Trump.
So this is very simple. It's a simple formula. The Trump supporters who are not, Trump is not happy with Fox, the Trump supporters are not going to be happy with Fox. And so what's happening is that, for example, like Rush Limbaugh, Mark Levin, Laura Ingraham, they have been more sympathetic towards Trump and what Trump's populist movement is doing and affecting and impacting the electorate. And so, in essence, what's happening is that you have just this conservative grassroots base that really, they're listening to the talk radio. They're mad at Fox, especially those Trump supporters when Trump is not happy with the network.
And just briefly, Heidi, I mean, Trump doesn't only run against Fox, he's run against the New York Times and Politico, CNN. I mean, he's singled them all out for harsh criticism when he feels he's being treated unfairly.
That's true. And like Mercedes said, it's almost as if anyone who disagrees with him automatically becomes the GOP establishment. And on a humorous note, did you know that one of the highest Google searches the night of the debate was GOP establishment? Because I think now so many people don't even know. What is GOP establishment? It's basically anybody who disagrees with Trump.
I think the establishment is down to about 12 people with gray hair. All right.